Oh, there's a lot to go through today. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bunker Think Tank for another round of Comic Corner. And today we're going to get right into it with the new Champions of Shazam, issue 2. So, this issue felt like the setup to some sort of weird special that you would see on, like, Lifetime. Like, this is like Reba. Or like those the 90s shows about the single mom who works too hard, who loves her kids / siblings and never stops, with gentle hands and the power of Shazam. So, anyway, if you recall, when we last left Mary Marvel, or just Mary in this case, she was all set to start her life off in academia. You know, she's gone to Vassar, she was left off by her foster parents to start this whole new chapter of her life, and then a bunny showed up, and the bunny said, Billy's got a job for you. You have to be the champion of magic. She's like, I don't want to do that. Like, you don't have a choice. There's a machine magic man out there doing stuff. She's like, fine. And then she dealt with it. And then she showed up again. Everyone thought she stole a bunny. But it turns out they weren't there about the bunny. They were there because her parents had disappeared. And here we are, dealing with that now. So, Mary has had to make some really tough choices. Some real tough choices about her life and where she's going. So, she is transferring to a community college because, yeah, it's in a good spot. It's near the house, but also where that magical cyborg man was, as well as where her parents were last seen. So, yeah, this also works out. The problem is, though, is the family dynamic is kind of in a not-so-good place. So, Pedro is like, we just keep losing stuff. We lost our powers, we lost Billy, now we lost our parents, and technically before that, we lost our other parents. Darla's like, he hasn't been that way since, then Freddy's been in the hospital, and, Billy's gone. No one's really feeling well. And Darla's like, well, what matters is you're here, the police will find our parents, and we'll be good to go. We'll all be one big happy family. Mary's like, yeah. See, Mary hasn't told Darla, and presumably anyone else, that she's going off to community college. She still wants to get her life together. She wants to start this new chapter of her life. So here she is, and lo and behold, there is her other foster brother, Eugene. Eugene, who is popular now, because, well, he's about 17 and he takes courses at college. So, of course, yeah, he's a big deal. And Mary's kind of killing his vibe. So he's trying to keep distance, but he's also letting Mary know. Like, so here's the status with the family. Everyone kind of feels terrible, all right? Surprisingly, yes. Their mom and dad are gone. The closest they had to real parents are gone. Billy's gone. They don't have the powers of Shazam anymore. You got the powers of Shazam. Darla's pretending she's fine, but in reality, she's freaking out. She's like 9, and again, her parents are gone. Her possibly favorite big brother's gone, and I think everyone knows Mary doesn't really want to be there, but she's there because she has to be. So yeah, it's weird. So she's like, ugh. Fine. So she goes to her first class, and she's feeling kind of optimistic because the teacher there is sort of like laid back and cool, like, I'm going to help you figure out who you wanted to be, and, try to bring out that part of you that you didn't even realize was there before. And it's like, all right, cool, the college experience. Luckily, sadly, depending on who you are, there's a car crash, the story really gets started, and the teacher wants to go like, look, this is that kind of school, this is that kind of neighborhood, stuff happens. But anyway, so Mary's like, probably not just a car crash. So she goes off, she Shazams, boop, boop, ba-doop, and it's a giant dragon gator man thing. Not really much of a man, more of a thing. But anyway, she goes, she fights it, she senses it feels the same way as the cyborg man. He has a name, but no one cares, let's be honest. And, yeah, as soon as she takes it down, she's met by these strange, shadowy men. But they don't really do this. But they show up, and Mary fights him off. But it's like 3-4 on 1, so it's not quite working off. Um, but Mary was like, what? I've been holding back. I can sort of force it out. But like, no, madam, we are men of science or things of science, so we're just gonna all like, whoop, take it here, doop, 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 do the circuit dance, and boom it right back at you. And Mary's like, oh no, this is not good, not good. They took the bunny. That bunny is not Mary's. That bunny still belongs to her other annoying friends. So yeah, they go in. They're about to take her down, but the other dude's like, hold on. We got some other stuff to do. We got to deal with this thing first. We'll come back to her later. So they take the dragon crocodile thing. Or was it a gator? The dragon gator. I like it. So Mary's like, oh, this day can't get any worse. Lo and behold, the press is here, trying to figure out, so, how you doing? And like, she's like, I have to go. So she goes off, and she's like, oh, this is terrible. I can't go with this right now. So she's taking the bunny. It's all cute. Then she sees that it's not just her foster parents that are missing. It's a whole bunch of other people that are missing. So this whole story just blew way the hell up. And yeah, that's how the story ends. So issue 2 is fun. We spend a lot of time trying to see Mary try to sort of assess what she needs to do, where everyone's kind of at. The family's not looking good, and Mary's trying to hold it all together. She's got school, family, champion of magic things, and she's like, yeah, I got this. She don't got this. She will do spectacularly, all things considered. She's gonna have to fix each and every one of these chucklehead siblings of hers, and those two girls won't matter. They'll either be villains or they'll slowly figure out who she is. But she also has to figure out where her parents are. But now she also has to do this work at school. Now she has to figure out these mysterious people. So again, you sort of have the sort of Reba feel to it, and I think I like it for Mary. I do, but at the same time, time will tell how it works out. Who's going to sort of let their guard down first and sort of let Mary in? I'm going to bet it's going to be Freddy, my least favorite of the Shazam family. Really just going by the movie, because I swear he was going to be evil in that movie. But whatever. Overall, though, this was still nice. This was the most relaxed book I'd read from the whole time. This was like, oh, this was nice. The rest of them were not so much. Some of them were just disappointing. Like this one here, Dark Knights of Steel. Oh, so this issue was depressing. These weren't bad stories. But you see how it's called Tales of the Three Kingdoms? It only talks about one kingdom. Their kingdom. Yeah, this is the kingdom of, of Cal and Kara and Bruce, and yeah, this is weird because I could swear we've gone about 2 months without this story continuing on. So I don't quite know what the point of telling us this story. This should have came out last month, and it actually should have come out this month. I don't know. Overall, though, this story was just... So there are 3 stories, alright? 3 stories, and all of them somehow discuss Batman. Despite the fact that Tom Taylor sort of implies he doesn't really like Batman, he can't seem to stay away from Batman. You don't like him, but you need him. Or, this is one way to look at it. Anyway, so, this story starts off with Jimmy Olsen being adopted by Perry White, and as sort of like a journalist, because the big deal is he can read, and after he's been adopted, it turns out he goes missing, and Perry goes like, hey, to the king and queen, like, hey, look, these are more kids that turn up missing, I need you guys to help. And so Cal wanted to help out. He's like, Jimmy was my friend too, because of course they were, and Bruce wants to help, and the little Supergirl wants to help too, so they all go. They go check out the orphanage, where it turns out the only good people in the orphanage were like Jimmy Olsen. The rest is clearly the Penguin and Two-Face, and we'll see that there are more just people from Arkham Asylum, but it's kids here. And little Harvey, he doesn't seem to have messed him up, so Bruce, or do they call him Thomas here? I always forget. Gives him a coin and says, hey, look, flip a coin, heads or tails, and you decide whether or not you want to tell us by the result of the coin. So there we go. He tells them. They go and find this Man Bat thing in the mountains. They think the Man Bat's the problem. No, Man Bat is just Kirk Langstrom, who's trying to protect them from the crazy lady at the orphanage. Because, of course, there's a crazy lady at the orphanage, and boop, boop, ba-doop. They arrest her, and the kids are free. But because this is all shady as hell, this is Amanda Waller basically. It's like, no, you'll continue your research, but for the kingdom. And yeah, the next story is, despite it being about Cal want to go, I want to spend time out with the people, understanding the kingdom I want to protect. I will protect. And Hart's like, sure, I'll go with you. Bruce is like, fine, I'll go in disguise. This story is all about how Bruce finds the Robins. That's it. Like, Cal has nothing of any real merit to do, out of the fact he catches them all. And Bruce is like, you know what? These kids got spunk. They got potential. I'll take them. The next story is about Bruce and Bane. So it turns out that Bane, you have to say it like that, or Bane, it's one of the other two ways. So Bane finds Bruce like, hey, I want to train you to fight, take down the House of L, because they're dangerous. I was one of the guards the night your parents were killed by the Green Man. I devoted my whole life to this. My spine got messed up. Appropriate. But there's a version of Bane whose spine is messed up. And he takes this green substance, sort of like Titan-esque chemical, that allows his body to function, because nothing works below the belt. His body doesn't work, so he takes Bruce under his wing, teaches him what he knows about how to fight people with magical powers, and when he takes Bruce to go kill the elves, he's like, no, we're not going to kill the elves. And he cuts it off, like, even though they call him the prince, like, no, I serve the House of L. And he throws Bane into the pit so he can climb. Why do we fall, Bane? So you can climb. Oh, wait, you didn't rise. That's right, you were not the one that rose. So King's Bane, as it's called. And ultimately, this was alright. Each individual story is alright, but it's not Tales of Three Kingdoms. I'm presuming there'll be an issue 2 of this that no one really wants. But I'm really disappointed in the fact the story's gone this route, that we've given a whole big, wide universe that Tom Taylor created, and we can only focus on 3 characters. That's it. Actually, we really want to focus on 1 character, and that's Bruce. I get it's called Dark Knights of Steel, but at the same time, you've taken every DC character and put them in a fantasy world. Alright? How do any of them function? How was it the King of Storms and the Amazons and some weird attempt at Green Lantern? How does the rest of it work? You know, what is Jim Gordon doing? What is closer than JSA? We saw the Teen Titans and League of Assassins to some extent here. How are they all dealing? How are they all coping? You know, how do they live in this world? You know, what is Aquaman doing? You know? 1602 this. Tom, call Neil Gaiman. I know he's busy on Twitter acting like, you know, he matters. To be fair, Neil Gaiman does matter. But at this point, he's being Neil Gaiman on Twitter, which somehow is not as fun as I thought it would be. But whatever. So yes, my issue is this story is too much Batman. Too much Batman. From a guy that pretty much said he likes Nightwing better than Batman. Why couldn't we just have... doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. These stories are good, but once again, Tom Taylor misses the point of his own idea. Yeah, we're just done. Speaking of which, how tired I am of Batman and stories where he shouldn't be the focus, let's go to the story where he is the focus. Batman! Issue 127. Continuing the failsafe story. This story is fun, if for no other reason than we get a flashback from Tower of Babel. Well, at least the events after Tower of Babel. It actually feels like a flashback from the movie Justice League Doom, which was based off the Tower of Babel. And Superman goes and go boom, 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 boom. Take off the mask. Talk to me. So, what is your plan? Look, I get you need plans to take down your friends. I get it. Weird. I don't necessarily approve, but you did it. So my question is, what's your plan for you? He goes, the plan for me is the Justice League. And Superman points this out. You devised plans to stop us, yet your plan to stop you is us. So don't lie to me, Bruce. What is the plan to stop you? What is the real plan to stop you? And that's sort of what's implied here, is that failsafe is a protocol to stop Batman. And the only person who can stop failsafe is the man who created him, the Batman of Zer and I really hope I'm saying it right. Actually, I don't really care if I'm saying it right. It's hilarious to add that pirate R to it. So, anyway, Zer and R, we call him Batman Z, is pure Batman. There's no Bruce Wayne to him. It's all just the mission and the focus. And he says, I created failsafe. I also erased my memory of creating failsafe. So I know I did. I don't know how to stop it, though. This is going to be a whole new experience. I have no idea how this thing works because I don't remember how I made it. So, to me, this kind of makes the Batman of Zer and Ar, or Batman Z, kind of pointless. Like, what good are you? What good are you? I called you to fix the problem that you created, but you don't even remember creating the problem. So, no. So, anyway, they throw down, the hands ensue. Maybe he needs heroin. But anyway, because that was one of the things Bruce was on when he tapped the power of Zer and Ar. But whatever. So, they engage Failsafe. I don't know what they thought was going to happen when they just take their bare hands to this robot. Meanwhile, Nightwing is realizing, we are so pwned. We are in trouble. Call anyone you can, Oracle. Call anyone to help. And, Failsafe is going through through Wayne Manor. He's being an ass. And going through, tearing up portraits of the family. And apparently, despite the fact that Zer and Ar is pure Batman, no Bruce Wayne, he draws the line at destroying the picture of Alfred. Now, that's an interesting point, but I think it's because Zer and Ar is not Bruce Wayne, who would have a connection to the parents. He's Batman, whose most loyal and faithful servant is Alfred. So that's still the one connecting thread between the two of them. So, yeah, he goes through, and yeah, it turns out there's still no plan to stop Zer and Ar. One plan is to, blow up the Batcave, with him in it. That's not seem to be working. Failsafe and meanwhile, Batman's like, so what are you doing up there, man? I tagged out so you could deal with this. Like, I created him, I can stop him. But he knows how to deal with pure Batman. I'm not pure Batman. I am Bruce Wayne and Batman. And this is my favorite part. He goes, also, stop calling them my soldiers. Tim isn't my soldier. He's my son. And I'm like, yes, I love it. And this is sort of where Bruce sort of forces himself out and forces Zer and Ar in. Like, he's not going to sacrifice his son. And they all are his sons. Dick, Jason, Tim, Damian, they're all his sons, pretty much to the same equal level. He's not going to let one of them go off. He's not going to sacrifice one of them for anything. So, it goes off. Bruce is like, I got this. I'm going to buy some time. All right? He's like, am I that good at making a killer android? Yes, I am that good at making a killer android, as all of his plans seem to feel. It's like, I am that good. And he also talks about how, hey, Failsafe is going like, hey, he thinks I killed Penguin? He's like, but I didn't kill Penguin. Penguin is getting major wins off of faking his own death. Make everyone think the Batman killed him. Oh, because it's really starting to kill him now. So he's like, all right, I think I'm going to die here. So as Bruce sort of lays on the stairs of Wayne Manor, he thinks about all the people that came down these stairs before, his parents, his wards, Alfred, and whatnot. This is a good place to die. Good time. And luckily it's all stopped by a nice Midwestern man going, hey, I need you to back away from my friend. Superman has shown up. And my question is this going to work? So, this issue was fun primarily because of that little back and forth with Bruce and Zer and Ar. The idea of... So I was reading Batman Murderer, which is a story where Bruce Wayne is accused of having committed murder of an ex-girlfriend, and Bruce escapes prison. He's able to clear his name yet, and he decides to use his time to be Batman full-time. He's like, you know what? Only Batman exists. And he's kind of terrible for it. Like, it's less interesting a character in my mind. And he sort of realizes that, Batman isn't the real face, which is something I've always argued with. When people go like, Bruce Wayne died in Crime Alley. Batman is real. I'm like, no, not really. Everything Batman does and stands for is the product of who he grew up, who raised him, Thomas and Martha Wayne. You take away Bruce Wayne, all you really have is some dude in a suit going around beating people up. And technically, without Bruce Wayne, there's no reason for Batman not to kill. Every principle, everything that Batman upholds is something Bruce Wayne wants to uphold. Batman is Bruce Wayne's ideals personified in regards to justice. You take Batman out, there's nothing to Bruce. There's nothing. You take Bruce out, there's nothing to Batman. Is what I'm saying. So, pure Batman is pure mission. Pure, don't really care about tomorrow. These soldiers only have to care about the mission. Think of nothing bigger than that. Bruce Wayne goes like, well, no. That is one part of what Batman does, but there's still people here. There's still members of his family. You Barbara Gordon may be, Commissioner Gordon's child, but in some ways she is Bruce's daughter. All right, and the same with Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown. Steph and Cass, especially because their fathers are terrible, and their mothers aren't that great either. So yeah. But it's also nice to see how this story started. This issue started with Superman and it ends with Superman. So I do like that idea too. Overall, this was fun. This was a great sort of palate cleanser to Dark Knights of Steel. I did read it in that order too. I did go Shazam, Dark Knights of Steel, and Batman. It's just that much easier. And finally, well, not finally, we have Dark Crisis. Now, this story was a doozy, all right? Because Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. As a matter of fact, hang on one more second. So, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. This story starts off with where we last left off, with Hal and this sort of New Earth sector, John Stewart, which is still the dumbest name for a sector I've ever heard. And I like John Stewart. Turns out this dude with the gun is Kal Rayner. And Hal's like, look, kid, I like you, Kal, but you want to go against a battle of wills with me? And he gets hit with a mallet, and it doesn't matter what goes on because it's all saved by Barry, and then we cut to the Hall of Justice. And what's interesting about this whole status now is we last off, the JSA came and said, look, you guys need some help as to how to be superheroes. I don't know how you guys need help being superheroes, but whatever, here we are to help you be superheroes. And we see Power Girl helping Superman. John can't save an airplane. I don't know how John doesn't know how to stop an airplane, how to, lift an airplane. We see them visiting people in the hospital, helping out the fire department, and at the Hall of Justice, we see Mr. Terrific, Cyborg, Damian, Donna Troy, Wildcat, Barbara Gordon, and John talking about what's been going on since the events of Dark Knights, Dark Knight's Metal, Death Metal, the whole thing with Perpetua and whatnot. We've been monitoring the multiverse effectively, and what's happened here, all right, is this map here. All this sort of dark energy is sort of corrupting the multiverse, all the Earths and whatnot. So we seem to be in trouble. Mr. Terrific's like, okay, so we have to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. I hate to say that, but yeah, those are only options. Meanwhile, Barry tells Hal exactly what's been going on here, that Pariah has trapped members of the Justice League in this sort of device thing and trapped their own perfect world, using that energy to help continue his machines and what he really wants to do, because Earth Zero, where all of our heroes, our main stories come from, everything flows from Earth Zero. So getting people from Earth Zero is going to help. So they have to go and find one of their members of the Justice League who's trapped in their perfect world and use that one to help them get out of this. So there you go. Meanwhile, Alan Scott, the Green Lantern of the JSA, whose power is the Starheart, it was also recently announced to be gay in the pages of, what was it? I forget what it was called. Doesn't matter. He's busy telling Nightwing, hey, look, I get it. I get that you're sad. I get that you want someone else to do this, but there's no one more qualified than you to help lead the new generation of superheroes. I know you didn't want to do it. Everyone knew it was stupid for you not to do it, but you have to do it, and I'm making it sound way more harsh than it is, but Alan Scott is being the most Alan Scott ever. He's being nurturing. He's being understanding. He's applying gentle pressure to Dick Grayson, who really is shaken up about what's been going on. He doesn't feel that he's qualified to do it. But in reality, Dick Grayson, and this is just what I've seen in recent years. I have not read enough Nightwing to call myself an expert, but this is him really sort of running from big responsibility. Which one would think he doesn't do that. But kind of. After the Justice League had died, he's like, nah, they'll be back. It'll be fine. I want to, take on the stuff going on at Titans Academy. When Bruce died and bound for the cowl, he was like, nah, we don't need a new Batman. We'll be fine. Because everyone wanted him to be Batman. I was like, no, it'll be fine. We don't need a new Batman. When it comes for him to taking on a major role outside of his own comfort zone, he doesn't want to do it. And I think outside his own comfort zone is sort of it. I think in reality he wants to lead the teams he wants to lead. which sounds bad, but at the same time, it's like it's less pressure. I think in his mind, being as much as he is a showman, as much as he does like, um, as much as he is an acrobat and a performer, he's always seen himself as just one part of a bigger story. He's never seen himself as sort of a ringleader. At least on that big a scale. He's never seen himself as someone who needs to inspire people. So this is Alan Scott going, well, you still were the one who did it first. You're still the most qualified to do this. Like, whether it be the Teen Titans or a stint as Batman or in the Morrison era of the Justice League, when he led a Justice League team, he's always sort of been there to, pick up the slack. So that to me was really cool. That to me was really cool. Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom, never get tired of saying that. The Legion of Doom was busy giving Black Ham the rundown. So you've been hanging out with the heroes, man. What's going on? I would like to point out Lex Luthor hung out with the good guys for a while. No one said a thing, and he totally betrayed you guys. Black Ham's like, look, I'd like to help out for once, and yeah. So there's a back and forth here. Gorilla Grodd, speaking with his chest here. Maybe you should have joined the Justice League and died. This is all interrupted by Deathstroke's attack. I did not know Harley was part of that team. Oh, cool. Black Adam points out that that they're all wearing the same black chains that the Dark Army was wearing. So they've all been compromised. It's about to go down. They all go down. Meanwhile, Hal and Barry arrive at this weird Batman fantasy world where there's a bunch of gears and clocks, and it's all sort of weird, and Barry's like, here we go again, and apparently Batman has lightning powers? It's weird. I don't know where that's from. If anyone knows what that's based off of, let me know. Meanwhile, Alan takes a bunch of them down. Nightwing, Wonder Girl, Yara Flor, and John. I just don't care about John. Take him down to the Justice League. I think this is the Justice League Dark headquarters. There's a portrait of Zatanna in honor of her. They said they'd make a statue, but you don't make statues of powerful magical people. Tends not to end well. And they talk to this Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing mentions that he had met the Great Darkness before. And he points out the Great Darkness is not usually like this. The Great Darkness doesn't take sides. Great Darkness doesn't, really possess people to do anything. Great Darkness just sort of is. It's a neutral party. So someone seems to have messed with it. And I think by figuring out who's messed with it, they can then figure out a way to fix it. So I thought that was a really cool idea. Meanwhile, Lex and Deathstroke are finally about to have their throwdown. And with Lex sort of realizing that, hey, whatever's controlling them, it's using Deathstroke as sort of the conduit. So if you take out Deathstroke, you take them all out. Now, Lex is no stranger to being played for by a chump at the hands of great dark powers. That was basically his role in Justice League, leading up to the events of Death Metal. So, yeah. So they go in, and they also realize things are getting worse. A Pariah talks about how, that this is all part of my plan. By Hal and Barry going through with the Speed Force and their lantern powers, going through all those different worlds, is speeding up my machine. And Mrs. Riff is going that this all can't be contained, that darkness is spreading throughout the multiverse. And what Pariah and Terrific realize is what's going to happen is a whole new multiverse is going to be created from this. I'm like, how do you have two multiverses? That to me is weird. Like, don't you really just need one multiverse? Like, by default, a multiverse is basically a world where an infinite number of stories happen. You can't have two infinite... Whatever. I don't know. Infinite Earths Reborn. I don't... But it's called Infinite Earth. So, anyway, this issue is sort of alright. I'm a sucker for anything with more JSA. We actually did get an announcement that Jeff Johns' JSA book is coming soon. It's only been about, 2 years? Ugh. But whatever. This story was alright. This was a bit easy to follow. This is the problem with big crisis level events, is that there's always a lot going on. A crisis event is never a straight line. It sort of goes like, whoop. Yeah, and I like it. I do. I think it'll be easy to figure out what didn't need to be here once the dust has all been settled. It's very hard to figure out what doesn't belong in an event until after the event's really happened. But yeah, we're now 4 issues in, 3 more to go. So it'd be a real shame if someone decided to totally ignore this and do their own thing. Oh wait, Flashpoint Beyond. So, Jeff Johns is now one issue away from finishing his Flashpoint Beyond story, and he decides to reveal that this takes place 2 days after the events of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. And so everyone's here, sitting, having news shows and whatnot, so which means the damage wasn't that bad. If we can talk on the news, and Mr. sort of explains what happened, that, there's a multiverse and an omniverse, and that's sort of where everything really matters. And this scientist, I think, believe her name is Lara, she's like, yeah, I'm sorry, that's wrong. The only thing that matters is hypertime, because hypertime is where alternate timelines come from, and because they're so important emotionally, they happen, so everything matters, ergo nothing matters. I'm like, wait, no, stop. You've just added an extra phase to the multiverse. By default, the multiverse means that a multitude of different stories have happened. In other words, there's a story where Bruce Wayne didn't die in Crime Alley. That's the point of the Flashpoint universe. There's a story where Bruce Wayne will get Green Lantern powers. There's a story where Bruce Wayne will actually be well-adjusted and get therapy. There'll be stories where Superman lands in Soviet Russia. There'll be stories where Wonder Woman... That's basically the multiverse. Now, once you go to hypertime, what it seems like is there'll be stories where this one didn't die, but this one did. You know what's really hilarious? It sounds like the same thing that we talked about with the multiverse and the omniverse and the whatnots. So this is really kind of pointless. Alright, we're adding an extra level to it. Now, to be fair, the difference is, and this I think is an important difference, is that hypertime itself is really just sort of the changing of timelines to current Earths. Alright, that's the big difference. So in other words, changing an Earth's timeline so it doesn't create its own really multiverse necessarily. It's basically saying time travel is way more messed up than crisis changing events. Alright? Because you can still, to some extent, remember that they happened. All of which it seems kind of pointless. But overall, here's how we're going to sum up this story. Hang on one more time. So, Batman meets up with Ra's al Ghul. Ra's like, hey man, thought I was dead? Nope, Ra's can't stay dead, even though I totally died in the pages of Robin. So, here's the ashes of the Flashpoint Batman. I know a guy in Justice League Incarnate. He decided to deliver this to me. And I also went to the Batcave, read Rorschach's journal, and I've read some other stuff about the Time Masters. This is pretty much what sets up this entire story. That's what I'm hearing. So, anyway, Oswald's trying to tell Thomas Wayne that it's important that he saves Dexter because, yeah, Dexter's mom is crazy. So it turns out that Dexter's sister didn't kill herself. His mom killed him. So Dexter's sister was killed by their mother. And Oswald's trying to hammer home the fact that this kid is different from Bruce because Dexter's still alive. He can save Dexter, he can't save Bruce. And Thomas is not thinking of the same Bruce that Oswald is. So Thomas thinks there's a version of Bruce Wayne out there that I can save, that I can help. I have to help him. Nothing else matters. And in reality, Bruce Wayne would be disgusted by this idea that Thomas would let another child die to save him. Granted, he's already disgusted with Flashpoint Batman anyway, so whatever. Thomas goes in, boop boop ba-doop, and he stops Joker, aka Martha Wayne, from doing her thing, revealing that she's also the Clockwork Killer. And so you know what? Turns out we did not get all the images we needed. Whatever, we don't need them. Because it just sort of gets kind of pointless at this point. So anyway, let's talk about the rest of this issue. Alright, because apparently my day has not been stressed out enough. So, in this story, Thomas asks, why'd you kill all those people? It's because, when they fought in the pages of Flashpoint Batman, and he killed her, she floated down into the basement of what appears to be a Time Master. So when she killed Psycho Pirate spilled all the beans about, this other timeline, about this other world with Bruce, where he's alive, and only Thomas and Martha died, and Martha's all for that, because that means her son's alive, and then she sees a world with Jack Oswald, what was it, White? Jack Oswald White, Joe, and basically it's the Joker. Yes, it's the same guy that will fall in the vat of chemicals in the Killing Joke and become the Joker. So they just told us Joker's real name. Why do I not care? Because first of all, this is Flashpoint Beyond, written by Jeff Johns, who also wrote 3 Jokers, and that 3 Jokers, you're in the mainline continuity Joker, is a Joker from the Killing Joke, so his name didn't matter to begin with, because we always knew it was him. Alright? Didn't matter. Alright? So, she's like, so if we go in the hyper time thing, we can go in there, and we can make sure, we can go back in time, and make sure that we die in Crime Alley instead of Bruce. Let's do that. Alright? I'm like, wait, stop. What? No. This is the hyper time thing, and apparently it's getting worse. Hyper time is seeping out throughout the globe thing that we saw in the first issue, that we're like, ooh, it's a globe. What's in the globe? Hyper time. It's leaking out. And we're all like, okay, so this is the thing we're trying to stop Bruce from doing. What is Bruce, by researching this, Bruce is making it worse somehow? I don't get it. But anyway, then Rip Hunter walks out of this thing with like a knife and a shotgun, and Bruce like, you can't stop me. And Rip Hunter's like, dude, I'm Rip Hunter. Alright? You don't know who you're talking to. I'm like, first, Rip Hunter, no one knows who you are. Outside of people that watch Masters of Tomorrow, Legends of Tomorrow. Yeah, Legends of Tomorrow. Jeez, it's been that long. Yeah, like by the time I checked out Legends of Tomorrow, Stein was still on the team. All right. So anyway, what's important about this story is that Jeff Johns is still kind of salty that they kind of poo-pooed on his Doomsday Clock story, which was in part terrible because that book was delayed, and he didn't quite like I don't think anyone liked what Tom King did with Flashpoint Batman. DC Rebirth is sort of this story of Jeff Johns trying to create a really good idea for the future of the DC universe, which some people say would have kept DC straight for like the next 7 years. It didn't, because powers that be, people say Dan DiDio, people will say higher ups at Warner's, whatever. They sort of changed it midway through. It's a problem Dan DiDio has, but anyway, we went through there, we did the thing, and DC Rebirth started to crumble a bit. And Doomsday Clock happened, and I guess there was supposed to be a proper ending to Doomsday Clock. That I guess this is kind of supposed to be tying, because this ties into, this basically is the 3 Jokers story as well. The 3 Jokers, Flashpoint Beyond, and Doomsday Clock all sort of tell one interesting story, which then pays like a little letter to Tom King's Batman, just because it ties to Justice League Incarnate, and technically, and by default, Tom King's Batman run. So, how do I feel about this story so far? It's all right. We're moving more and more away from the Flashpoint universe, just trying to get to the end of the Flashpoint universe. Like, the idea is that this universe has to die to save Bruce Wayne. I don't quite. Are they trying to save the Flashpoint Bruce Wayne? Which would be them changing time. Which would be like, hey, technically, that means that this Earth, this continuity, has its own alternate timeline that people are going to be aware of. And, yeah, it's weird. We've added time travel to a place where you think it already would exist. But I guess by default, I need a chalkboard. I don't know. I'm going to think about this more. But anyway, this was a bit confusing. People are a bit upset that, Joker has a name. Joker by default would always have a name. The question is, if by giving the Joker from the Killing Joke a definitive name, does this ruin anything? Well, not really, because that Joker only really exists in the confines of the Killing Joke, which you don't have to really count as having a sequel story, and as well as the story of the 3 Jokers, which continues the Killing Joke, which you don't have to count, and then going to Flashpoint Beyond, which that name really only exists within the confines of Martha Wayne, who is coming from a timeline before the events of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths ends. So you can just retcon away and say, hey, it was fixed when that whole story ended. I don't know. All I know is I am out of chocolate milk. And, yeah, so we're going to bring this to a close here. So those were the books. It was long, it was stressful, and, so I'm out of milk. So, yeah, with that in mind, if you are new to the Bucket Think Tank, feel like, comment, share, subscribe, check out some other videos, smash the thumbs up button, and I will catch you all later. This is the Bucket Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching. As always, may your fandom serve you well, And God bless Shazam and Batman for making this just a bit more of an enjoyable and less stressful week, comic-wise. Yeah.